Hello, welcome back to my basement. I know it's been a while, but I shouldn't say hi again. I've been really busy over the summer and I haven't really had time to focus on this channel at all, but today's your lucky day because I'm finally making another video. And by this point you already know I love movies and I'm really big into watching films, talking about films, making films. So I wanted to trace the roots of where that passion came from and look at some movies from my childhood that really affected me a lot. Now, I definitely don't remember every movie I've ever watched in my lifetime, and I'm not going to pretend to, but I do remember the first one that really affected me, and that is this film, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Now, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is a 1968 musical film directed by Ken Hughes and co-written by him and famous novelist Roald Dahl. It's loosely based on the book of the same name by Ian Fleming. Now, I don't think this was the first film I ever saw. Very well could have been. But I do know that it is the one I watched at a young age that left its mark on me. The first film that I ever watched that really truly captured my imagination in a way that not a whole lot of other films have. Things about the musical numbers, the songs in the film were just so intoxicating, so memorable, and they really had a tendency to really just get stuck in your head. Something about that whimsicalness that really just connected with me as a kid. The Wizard of Oz. A similar case in that it's a very whimsical film, very colorful film that really connected with me because of that. That's why I think it's so timeless. And it really allowed my mind to just run wild with possibilities. I think that's why it still connects with children today, despite being from 1939. Now, it would be a blatant lie to say all cinema, all movies are happiness and rainbows. These two movies did a lot for opening my eyes to the wonder and the whimsy of the world. It would be a real shame to not mention other movies that opened my eyes to other just as important emotions: pain, fear, and sorrow. So let's focus on some of those. First of all, let's focus on sadness, on sorrow, on misery, on movies that really made me upset as a child. PBS Kids was the network that I watched the most because unless I was at a grandparent's house, I didn't have access to Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, the Disney Channel, or any other cable channel. Big Bird, I think, was a character I liked a lot as a child, although I don't remember which character is my favorite. I know I did like Big Bird. He kind of encapsulated that childlike mindset. He was, I think, the most childlike character on the show despite his gargantuan size. The film follows him on his trek to get back to Sesame Street, and on this trek he encounters children that he befriends and villains that are trying to chase after him and capture him for the circus. It's a pretty typical adventure movie from this era, or really from any era. Any kid's adventure movie follows the same formula. So this is not unique in that sense, but taking this character that is just so tied to all these children who they love and adore, and watching him get captured and just abused is really upsetting. The sequence that I think upset me the most is a sequence right after he gets captured by these carnies and he's painted blue and forced to sing for a crowd. I'm making it sound disturbing and really messed up, and it's not that disturbing. It's not really disturbing at all. It's just Big Bird singing a sad song. But as a child, it feels a lot more heavy than it really is because you really feel for this character. You love Big Bird. It did make me feel misery. It made me feel miserable. It made me feel really bad for Big Bird, but it didn't scare me. It didn't horrify me. There was one movie that did, and for this film I will have to set the scene. It's Christmas. I am 4 or 5 and I am opening my presents. I just opened a 2-pack of 2 movies that at the time I had not seen yet. That being Fantasia and Fantasia 2000. I still have yet to watch Fantasia 2000, but let me tell you that I did watch Fantasia. I was very eager to watch it. I mean, it has Mickey Mouse right here on the cover. Now, the Mickey Mouse segment was pretty short. It's just the Sorcerer Mickey segment, you know, with the brooms and all that. And, you know, that was fine. Every sequence in this movie was fine up until the sequence that uses the song Night on Bald Mountain. This big, basically shadow cast over this gothic, dark town, and then these white, ghostly figures racing around the screen. It kind of spooked me. It didn't kind of spook me, it really spooked me. It scared me a lot. And not any other movie scared me like this film did. And, I mean, it's no surprise, this era of Disney movies had a lot spookier, more spooky moments than other ones. a lot of people think of the pink elephant scene from Dumbo, or the Pleasure Island sequence from Pinocchio. Those movies, they never really freaked me out. At least I don't remember them freaking me out. But this one, Fantasia, it did. That was, I think, the first experience I had with true terror. And really the only one I have had that comes from a film, something fictional. There was another movie that freaked me out, not to the same extent, but still, it did freak me out. Not really traumatize me or scare me or horrify me, but more so unnerve me. This film, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Now, this is a movie from the 70s. It's beloved by so many people. And you might be like, why were you scared of this movie? You say you love whimsical things, you loved things that filled you with a sense of wonder. So what is it about this film? One of the most whimsical and wonderful films of all time. Why this one? It was whimsical, but in a very unnerving and strange way. And things all throughout the film point to this, like the chicken getting its head cut off, or the weird, like, striped black and white room they have to go walk through, and just how, not eager, but how he doesn't care about the lives of these children. That scared me. This man was a menace. You never see these children again, they just die. That's something that horrified me about this film, because this man did not seem wonderful or whimsical. He seemed deeply troubled and evil. This theater behind me may look like a normal theater, because at one point it was, but now it's not anymore. It shut down earlier this year after being in operation since 2005. It was the main theater in town, the biggest theater in town, and still is the biggest theater in town. 14 screens. Opened as Hollywood Theaters. Ownership changed in 2013, and Regal Theater has operated it for 10 years up until its death in January of this year. It's untimely death, and it's unannounced death. I was quite saddened by the death of this movie theater because, you know, I still really like this theater. I still went to this theater very often, but it just couldn't compete. But before its death, I do have a lot of memories surrounding this theater. I don't know what the first of which is, but the first I remember was when I went to go see The Avengers in 2012 here. I don't really care for superhero movies much anymore, but at the time I did. I went to go watch it in 2012. It was the latest I think I ever stayed up to that point, and it was just a really magical moment for me. I dressed up as the Hulk. I was painted green from head to toe, and it's just something that has always left its impact on me in my mind because of how, you know, this moment, going to the theaters dressed up as the Hulk, excited for this big event, because this movie was a real big event at the time, and just waiting there, watching the lights go down, the trailers start to play, eating popcorn. It's something I don't think I'll ever really forget, and something that I think will leave its impact on me. It has left its impact on me and will continue to leave its impact on me for years to come, even if I don't really care for Marvel movies much anymore. I don't remember much about the movie itself because I did fall asleep about 5 minutes into the film, but the experience I don't think I'll ever forget.
The audio of this part messed up, so I'm just going to record over it. The building in the background of this shot is an old video store in our town. My mom also worked here, so I would often come to work with her when she couldn't find someone to watch me. I often helped out. I would restock the films, but this is really my first exposure to movies. Not the films themselves, but more so the cases, the DVD covers. A lot of these covers really captured my imagination and let it run wild with possibilities of what the film itself can contain. A lot of these possibilities were more exciting or frightening than the film itself was. The one I remember the most that kind of, I guess, captured my imagination in the most visceral way was the cover of the 1990 It miniseries. I remember whenever I would pass by this cover, I would always turn it over, so I didn't have to have the scary clown look at me anymore. The Saw movie covers I remember freaked me out a lot too. Something about the first one I remember with the severed leg, and the third one with the teeth hanging on the strings freaked me out the most. Just the cover of the movie Orphan from 2009, I remember freaking me out. It's uncanny valley expression on this little girl's face and the tagline, "There's something wrong with Esther," I think really unnerved me. Like, what could possibly be wrong with this child, right? This innocent person. I think the ideas I came up with in my head were far scarier than the stupidity of the movie itself. It wasn't just covers that freaked me out, though, that I remember. Also, there are some covers that captured my imagination in more wholesome ways. The Ernest series, I remember, did this, especially Ernest Goes to Jail. Just his goofy expression, it really captured my imagination.
Like a lot of kids my age, I spent a lot of time on the internet, but I did things that other kids my age normally wouldn't do. You see, a normal 5-year-old would go onto the internet to play like Club Penguin or watch cat videos or something, but not me. No, what I did was go to a little website called imdb.com and browse around for all sorts of different movies and fun things I haven't heard about. Yeah, I was a little bit different as a child, but like I said, I loved movies and I always have. Due to the time my mom spent at the video store, I was really interested by films, and this was just another way for me to find new and cool movies I hadn't heard of yet. One particular movie I remember discovering that my grandparents actually bought me the DVD for because of how interested I was in the concept was this. Logan, 2010. Why was I interested in this movie? I don't think I could tell you at the time. Actually, no, I probably could. It's because it's my name. That's my name. My name's Logan. Yeah, That's why I wanted to watch the movie. I had no clue what the film entailed or was about. I just liked the name. Because there's no other movies that have my same name. None of them. A couple of years later, the movie Logan, about the comic book character Wolverine, came out. Yeah, I was pretty excited about that too, but this, at one time, this was the only big movie. This was the only big movie that shared my name. So I watched it. I think the only reason my grandparents bought me the DVD and the only reason my dad was okay with me watching it was because, well, it has his name and it's about a kid, right? It's appropriate for him. No, this movie is about a teenager committing suicide. This Logan kid, he really wants to make movies. He can't commit suicide. Great message for little Logan to watch. Yeah. Didn't really think that one through. This movie, Chappie, was another movie I was really interested in watching from imdb.com, but I didn't ever get to watch it. I'm not really interested in it anymore, but I remember at the time, for some reason, the idea of this robot guy really interested me. I really like this film Short Circuit about this robot who goes kind of like who becomes sentient or something, and he like is cool. It's a kids movie. This was like that, but he's action movie, and little me really liked that. Little 8-year-old me, he enjoyed that idea, so he wanted to watch this. But it was rated R. Dad wouldn't let me watch it, so I never did. There's another movie, a movie I don't remember the name of, that I also found through IMDb. One that has stuck with me for a while, and that I've always wanted to find again. If you can help me, I would really appreciate it. I've never seen this movie. All I've seen from it is the trailer and the IMDb page. Don't remember enough about it to really tell you what it's about. I do remember I think I found it through searching for superhero films. I was really into superhero movies, as most children my age were, and I wanted to find movies that were superhero movies. I just couldn't wait for the next Marvel movie or DC movie. I had to get one now. So I was looking them up on imdb.com, and I found a movie that was a lot edgier, a lot more mature than a lot of other superhero movies, and it wasn't really like a big name. It wasn't like Punisher or Blade or something. It was kind of indie, kind of obscure. It was like a satire, a superhero satire type thing, that was not really poking fun at superheroes, but it's supposed to be a different, more realistic, grounded take on it. Think like Super if it wasn't a comedy. Now, I thought this might be the movie Super, but it's not. It's something else. I've seen the trailer for Super, and it's not this movie. This movie I remember being a lot more serious in tone. I remember the main character, he was a white guy, 30s, maybe 20s. He was kind of scrawny. And he had like a stubble beard kind of thing going on. And he had girlfriend, someone who's close to him. They must have been close enough because I think she made the suit for him. And I remember a distinct shot of him looking in the mirror. I think he was shirtless, probably. And she was standing behind him. And then I think he put the suit on and he was looking at himself. And she was standing behind them the whole time. So I also have a distinct memory of a shot of him mowing the lawn from like a top-down perspective, like not fully top-down, but from like a perspective looking like this, you know, looking down like that. I remember the main character smoked cigarettes a lot. That was the reason my dad didn't want me to watch it. It's not like I'd be able to watch it anyway. He couldn't find it anywhere. But that was something that was a big point about why I shouldn't be able to watch it. I don't think it was rated. I think it was not rated. I specifically remember it was not rated, did not have a rating. So it's like, it's not rated, Dad. It's not rated R. Yeah, but it has smoking in it. Can't watch it. And it's like got suggestive stuff going on. I do remember this movie's real. Maybe I'm making this stuff in my head, but I'm not, because I remember I was with my grandparents at Red Lobster, and I showed them the trailer to this on her smartphone. Anyways, if anyone knows what this movie might be, or what it is, or anything, please let me know.
I had this weird stigma around like R-rated movies, especially horror movies. Up to that point, the only R-rated movie I watched was when I was like 6. I watched Terminator 2. My father showed it to me. I don't even know if he knew it was R-rated, he just showed it to me because he liked the movie. And I remember really liking that movie, and I don't think it really bothered me because I didn't know it was rated R at the time, and I was also 6, I didn't really understand the rating system. But I remember really enjoying it, and I enjoyed it so much that I even like recorded like an homage. It was basically a rip-off with my grandparents' big video recorder that recorded directly a videotape. I still have this weird stigma around the time on like R-rated movies, that I shouldn't be allowed to watch them. Not really because my mom didn't want me to watch them or because my dad didn't want me to watch them. They didn't care at all, actually. But I did. And that's why when this man was basically forcing me to watch this movie, this very forbidden film that I didn't want to watch, I'm not terrified of the contents of the movie itself, despite it being a horror movie. I don't really think it scared me, but I was just scared by the fact that I was exposed to something. I still love that movie. The film was Child's Play, the original movie. I do think watching the movie itself and realizing that the contents of these films aren't really that scary really opened my eyes to more types of movies and helped me to really dive more into horror as I got older, which is why I'm such a big fan of the genre now as an older teenager.
This story starts on my 10th birthday. I invited a lot of friends over for a sleepover, and we were watching movies, having a fun time, what have you. I think a lot of my friends at this point in the party were in my bedroom playing video games, or at least maybe downstairs. I think they might have been downstairs playing video games. Either way, I think at this point in the party, my friends were mostly all downstairs playing video games. Not a lot of them really cared about what me and my best friend at the time were doing, which was watching a movie. This film was a movie that I picked out myself at the same video store my mom used to work at. So I picked out this movie, and I specifically remember the cashier, the person working the front desk, even saying this was a good pick. But then we looked something up about it. I think it was the length maybe, or maybe the year it came out. I'm not totally sure, but we looked it up, and lo and behold, the film was rated R. And the fact that this film was rated R, and we were already halfway into it, terrified me. And I think that terror bled off on my friend, because next thing I know, we both run to the DVD player and turn it off immediately and freak out over the fact that we just watched an R-rated film. He promised me not to ever tell his father that he watched the movie. A couple years later, he would watch the film with his father. He told his father about what happened, and his father said he didn't really mind because the movie wasn't that bad. And same thing with my dad. We watched it together when I was 12. The film in question is Stand By Me, one of my favorite movies of all time, in my top 10. A movie that I absolutely adore and that has really left an impact on me. And part of that impact has to do with the experience I had first watching it, even though I didn't watch it all the way through. I think I talked about the majority of the experiences that I had as a kid regarding films and how they affected me. If you have any that you would like to share, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to read them, because I think that's this thing that we share, this passion we share for movies, or a passion that anyone shares for anything. I think that doesn't come from nowhere. We're not just born to love something. We learn it and we figure it out through years of discovery and trial and error, and years of experiences related to these movies, or anything really, whether good or bad. Also, final note, make sure to support WGA and SAG-AFTRA as they're currently on strike, trying to get better pay for the wonderful work they do. Without them, none of these movies would have been possible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.